Wow. Uh, that's certainly a shock, to say the least. Uh, as of this morning, Bill Belichick, the longtime head coach of the New England Patriots, the coach of the New England Patriots for my whole life, and a guy who is widely considered the greatest coach of all time, who won 8 Super Bowls, two with the Giants as a defensive coordinator, six with the Patriots as a head coach, is now out of a job. Um, as of this morning, it was reported that Bill Belichick and the Patriots mutually agreed to part ways, which is basically the polite way of saying Bill Belichick was fired. And yeah, this is just a shock. It's perhaps the most shocking piece of NFL news I've ever seen. And it's so shocking that I'm at my desk recording a reaction video. And in case you did not know, I normally do not do reaction videos. For those who kind of have been following the channel since we've started up back in the summer of 2023, I normally do more longer form videos than my basketball counterpart. I have the weekly NFL breakdowns. Those normally take me a little bit to put together and edit. I have videos like the Bill Belichick one and the Donovan McNabb one that I've done that are more like research based pseudo documentary things that take a couple weeks for me to put together and upload. So normally I'm uploading a video maybe once a week, once every couple weeks. But this is too big of news for me not to react to. So here I am. And with that, let's get into it and kind of break this all down and talk about what's next, not only for Bill Belichick, but for the Patriots as well. So, this type of thing was definitely possible after a season in which the Patriots went 4-13, but personally, I did not think it was going to happen. Still, there were a few factors at play here that probably led to Bill Belichick getting fired here. So let's break them down real quick. The first thing I can really think of that could have led to a move like this by New England is the fact that after Tom Brady left New England, the Patriots as a whole have struggled over the past 4 years since Tom Brady left. The Patriots went a collective 29 and 38. That's not exactly good, but it's not exactly terrible either. Of course, kind of all fell apart this year with the 4-13 finish. So there's definitely that level of underachieving that could have factored into a move like this. I mean, the Patriots weren't like horrible when Tom Brady left, but they weren't like a top tier franchise like they have been in the past 2 decades when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were together. Bill Belichick's track record as a GM also comes to mind as a reason why he was fired, and a lot of people would point to this as perhaps maybe the primary reason. Uh, Definitely, that has some merit in the sense that there were some strange free agent signings. Juju Smith Schuster comes to mind as one. Some strange draft picks. Cole Strange, no pun intended, was perhaps the most scrutinized draft pick Bill has had over the past 4 years outside of Mac Jones. More on him a little bit later. And signing guys like Matt Patricia on the coaching staff to be an offensive coordinator were just objectively bad moves. But Bill Belichick as a GM also has had some pretty good moves since Tom Brady's left. Ramondre Stevenson was a great draft pick. Demario Douglas was a great late round find at wide receiver. Strick Bourne as a free agent. Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry at tight end were both pretty good. Zeke's been a sneaky underrated free agent signing this year. He drafted guys on the defense that have performed, guys like Christian Gonzalez. So while Bill hasn't exactly been amazing as a GM, he hasn't hit on like every single free agent signing or draft pick or coaching hire. He hasn't exactly been terrible either. And even if the Patriots did not want him heading those types of operations anymore, it's not like they would have had to fire him in order to do that. Bill had said on record that he would be willing to relieve himself of GM duties if that's what it took to improve the team. And I would imagine that if the Patriots wanted to keep him on in some capacity, they likely would have gone down that path instead. Which really brings us to what I think is the most likely reason why Bill Belichick is no longer the coach of the Patriots as of today. The New England Patriots offense. The Patriots obviously struggled in 2023, but it was not because of their defense. Their defense actually this year was phenomenal, as always. It was a top 10 unit. The Patriots ranked seventh in total defense with 301.6 yards per game and only 38 touchdowns given up on the year. That's really good for only 2 touchdowns a game. That's phenomenal. And that's better, actually, than the number one defense in the league this year, the Cleveland Browns, which gave up 44 total touchdowns. Uh, if you look at the Patriots' passing defense, they ranked 11th in the league, 208.4 yards per game, 19 total touchdowns given up through the air. The rushing defense was fourth in the league, 93.2 yards per game, and 14 total touchdowns. So, defense was not the issue with this team, and it never is an issue with a Bill Belichick coach team. Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time in my mind. He's the greatest defensive coach and the greatest defensive mind the NFL has ever seen and likely ever will see. So the Patriots having a top 10 defensive unit in a year where they finish 4-13 actually sort of makes sense here. The Patriots on offense, though, were the exact opposite. They were the 30th ranked offense in the league with 276.2 total yards per game. uh, on average, they had 180.5 passing yards per game, 95.7 rushing yards per game. Uh, really, they were just absolutely horrible. Patriots offense, in fact, was so bad that in the 7 games that New England managed to hold their opponents to 20 points or fewer, the Patriots only won 2 of them. So that just kind of says it all with uh, defensive performances that good where you're not even able to score 20 points or more. It's really no surprise that you're going to lose a lot of those games. And a lot of the offensive struggles fall on Mac Jones here. He was never really a great NFL prospect coming into the league when the Patriots selected him with the 15th pick in the 2021 draft. Personally, I never thought he was going to be a good quarterback. There were a lot of things on his tape that indicated that to me very early on. But the fact that Mac failed as spectacularly as he did, and the fact that the offense struggled as much as it did, specifically this season, is honestly the biggest reason why Bill Belichick is not the coach of the Patriots today. Because the NFL is a very offensive oriented league. And if your offense is not good, chances are, as in with this 2023 Patriots team, your team is not going to see a lot of success. And as a result, your coach is going to be in the hot seat and perhaps won't get fired. So there's that. And I think really the offensive struggles are the main culprit as to why Bill Belichick is no longer the coach of this team. Of course, he did not do himself any favors there, specifically in 2022, where he brought on Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator to oversee Mac Jones's development in a move which I will say is objectively bad. Of course, not all of the offensive talent Bill drafted either or brought in via free agency worked out. But overall, uh, just the fact that the Patriots have had these bad offensive performances since Tom Brady left is probably the biggest reason why Bill Belichick is no longer the coach. And real quick, want to touch on this before I move on to the final part of this video. The way Tom Brady left and the way that relationship ended, I think, did play a little part as well. The fact that things were not super amicable, the fact that the Patriots basically let him walk without really kind of at least giving him a contract offer in free agency. He subsequently then goes to Tampa and wins the Super Bowl. I'm sure that weighed on Robert Kraft's mind when he was making these decisions as well. And I'm 100% positive that played at least a small factor into why Bill Belichick is no longer the coach of the Patriots today. So, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about what's next, both for Bill and then for the Patriots organization as a whole. Uh, Bill Belichick almost certainly will look to coach again. He has 333 total wins, including the playoffs. He's second all time. He's 14 wins from catching Don Shula and 15 from breaking his record. I would presume he would want to go for that. Belichick is also third all time in regular season wins. He has 302. He's 26 behind Don Shula's 328, 16 behind George Halas's 318. That may also be something that Bill Belichick wants to chase after before he retires. So, despite the fact that he's 72 years young, I would assume that he's going to want to coach for a little while more. In his next gig, he may not take on as many GM responsibilities. He might do something like what Andy Reid did when he was brought on with the Chiefs, where he took a step back from that. But overall, I think Bill Belichick will want to continue coaching. He's obviously still a fantastic coach, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He's the greatest coach of all time. Any franchise that brings him in will have that immediate pedigree and will have a lot of hype surrounding them. So that's personally what I think Bill Belichick will want to do. Some teams I think that could go after him are the Los Angeles Chargers. They have Justin Herbert there. They need some help on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that could be a really good fit. Another fun team I think would be the Atlanta Falcons. They have some fun defensive playmakers, including Jesse Bates. They're a quarterback away on this roster. They have the eighth overall pick. They have a lot of money in free agency. They could sign a couple guys, and they could easily win a relatively weak NFC South and go on a playoff run with Belichick as their head coach. So that's another place I think that he could be a great fit for. As for the Patriots organization, this is obviously the end of an era. Bill Belichick was kind of the final foundational pillar of that Patriots dynasty. So now that he's gone, it's clear that the team wants to completely rebuild themselves and completely reestablish their culture and franchise from the foundation up. The Patriots do have some assets to do that. They have a bit of money in free agency. They have the third overall pick, which they almost certainly will use to take a quarterback. And now they're going to have a new coach. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this team over the next few years, whether or not they'll be able to reestablish themselves as a contender. But now they're going to have to do it without one of the greatest coaches of all time. Want to wrap things up here real quick on the video with my own personal thoughts on this mutual parting, we'll call it. I don't necessarily agree with this move. Looking at everything and looking at Bill's track record in the post Brady era, obviously Bill Belichick's still a phenomenal head coach, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But that's never really where the Patriots struggled, and that's ultimately not why the team decided to part ways with him. It's going to be hard, I think, for me to wrap my head around the fact that Bill Belichick is no longer a New England Patriot. Uh, Obviously, at some point, I mean, Don Shula was eventually let go by the Dolphins. Andy Reid was let go by the Eagles, and he'll eventually be let go by the Chiefs. But at the same time, Bill Belichick was the coach of the Patriots my whole life. So naturally, there's going to be some of that at play here. That being said, I am very excited to see where he goes next. He could go to the Chargers, he could go to the Falcons, he could go somewhere else. And I'm excited to see him attempt to break the all time wins record and further cement what is the greatest head coaching resume of all time in my mind. My channel co-host, of course, is not of this mindset. He is a Jets fan, so one can imagine the house party he's having right now and the jubilant celebrations going on in his home. But that's besides the point. I'll end things with this. As fans, we should really just take the time and appreciate the greats and enjoy them while they're there. Because nothing lasts forever and they're not going to be around forever. It's things like what happened today with Bill Belichick that really kind of puts that in perspective. So, my message to all of you is enjoy the ride while you can, because the ride doesn't last forever and eventually it's going to have to stop somewhere. And with that, I'll end things here. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. And we'll catch you in the next one.